we will see BCNF. Already I explained normalization and normal forms 1NF, 2NF, 3NF. If you did not watch, please watch that video so that you can understand this BCNF. Link will be provided in the description. So here BCNF, Boy's Code normal form. A relation is said to be BCNF if it is in 3NF. And prime attribute should not depend on non-prime attribute, which is nothing but a non-prime attribute should not determine the prime attribute. Okay. So here non-prime attribute should not determine the prime attribute, key attribute you can say. Non-key attribute should not determine the key attribute. If it determines means it is not in BCNF. We will see with example. For example, student table I have taken. Rule number, subject, teacher. Rule number 1, subject name. Rule number 1, he joined in some institution and joined for some courses like C, Java and C++. So here rule number 1, C, teacher allotted is T1. Rule number 1, Java, teacher allotted T3. Rule number 1, C++, he joined, teacher is T4. Some particular teacher names also you can mention, no problem. Rule number 2, C++, allotted teacher is T2. Rule number 2, subject Java, allotted teacher is T5. Now, if you observe here, rule number alone cannot identify the subject. Okay. Why? Because rule number 1 is having the subjects as a C, Java, C++. You cannot tell rule number 1 is having which course joined, C or Java or C++. So here rule number alone cannot identify the subject. But rule number and with the subject, you can tell which teacher is allotted for that rule number. Okay. Rule number 1, subject C. Rule number 1, subject C means teacher T1 is allotted. Rule number 2, subject C++ means some teacher T2 is allotted and so on. So here you can say that rule number and subject are the key attributes. Okay. So here these key attributes are determining the non-key attribute. Okay. So here now if you observe here, non-key attribute, teacher is determining the prime attribute. Teacher is determining the subject here. Teacher T1 means he is telling C subject. Okay. Teacher T1 means he is telling C subject. Teacher T2 means he is telling C++. Teacher T3 means he is telling Java. Teacher T4, C++. Teacher T5, Java. Which means that teacher is a non-key attribute. The non-key attributes are determining the prime attribute. Okay. Here already we have seen rule number and subject are the prime attributes. By using this prime attributes, we are determining the non-key attribute. But here in this case, if you observe these two, non-key attribute determining the prime attribute, that should not be happen in the BCNF. Okay. Now this table is not in BCNF. Why? Because non-prime attribute determining the prime attribute. Okay. Part of the prime attribute or prime attribute. So here to convert into a BCNF, you need to decompose the table into multiple tables. So here rule number, for this teacher, one teacher ID we are going to be generating. Okay. Rule number 1, teacher ID, some rule number teacher 1 means teacher ID 1, teacher 2 means some IDs generated for the teachers, teacher ID 2, teacher ID 3, teacher ID 4, TID 5, or you can mention any numbers also, 10, 20, 30, 40 also you can mention. Next one, for this teacher IDs, teachers allotted I mentioned, teacher TID 1 means T1, TID 2 means T2, TID 3 means T3 and so on. Next one, for this teacher ID which subject telling, TID 1 means C. TID2 means C++, like this. Now, if you observe here, this table is in BCNF. Please subscribe to my channel. If any queries, please comment.